Alex, so we'll start with you. Since you've had great success with, setting up malls as destinations for people to come and spend the day, what do you think is relevant for Pakistan? And sort of, how can one, what would be your recommendations for mall owners or developers who are looking at starting? Can we reduce the echo?
This one?
Alex, you got my question.
It's a question from me.
Yep, that was for you.
So this is on destinations of malls?
Yep. So it was basically on the malls. Since you have been in the MENA region, developed great malls, which are more destinations for people to not only come in for shopping, but you have created other entertainment avenues. How do you see that transforming into Pakistan, and what can be done in Pakistan?
Sure. I think one of the things that we really look at is environments, placemaking, weather conditions. So when I look at a place like the UAE, or I look at places like Riyadh or Jeddah in the Middle East, one of the reasons why the malls play such a huge role is that for 6 months of the year, it's very hard to walk outside for more than 3 minutes. Yeah? And one of the things, that we rarely say, or we often say actually, is that, in the Middle East, there's normally 2 seasons, hot and damn hot, right? So malls become, like I said earlier in the day, it's definitely well beyond shopping. Shopping is just the beginning. It's the place you go to spend your leisure time. It's the place you go for entertainment. It's the place you go to meet friends and family. It's actually, for many, many people, it's actually where they go for Friday prayer, right? You look at it, and a lot of the malls have got very smart because they open way before. The shops open at 10 o'clock. The restaurants open at around 8:30, but the mall opens at 8 o'clock because people come and walk around the mall like it's a gym, right? So all of a sudden, the malls take on a much, much stronger role in society, if that's the right term, and they become destinations very much in their own right. So whether they are a super regional destination mall, like something that you would expect, what you call a landmark mall like Dubai Mall, or whether it becomes a super regional landmark mall like Mall of Emirates, or becomes a community regional mall like Dira City Centre, or if it became a community mall, all the way down to something very close to where I live. In the Emirates Hills area, we created something called the Spring Souk, which you look at that thing today and it's always full. But it's got restaurants, it's got coffee shops, it's got cinema, it's got a Carrefour in there, right? A Carrefour Express in there. It has pharmacy, it has anything that you would want is there, including education facilities, after school, healthcare clinic, dental clinic, gymnasium. So it becomes, for that particular community, that becomes their everyday outlet. Then the community mall may become their every week outlet, and then the super malls may become the once every fortnight. So I think it's really understand what role is that particular shopping environment going to be, or the mall environment going to be for you? How do you design that mall to deliver against the requirements of those people in that catchment area?
Great, thank you. Faisal, continuing with what Alex said, how do you see, you guys have developed malls for now over 20 years, I guess. So, you all understand what the demographics are and what people require over here in Pakistan. There have been numerous malls that have come in and have failed. What do you think are the main pain points that mall developers do not take into account when building malls here in Pakistan?
So I think it's not a question of demand. What we've seen and what we've discussed with a lot of retailers, there is a very big requirement in terms of mall retail space. And in good quality malls, there is actually shortage of good retail space for development. I think the challenge lies more in the general ecosystem. So firstly, we don't have very good infrastructure available in the country. So anything the mall develops, it has to do almost on its own, or almost as if they're fighting against the elements. So it's something which adds a lot of expense to the overall development. Secondly, there is and I think Mujtaba from Lama brought that point up as well, that the matter of finance and finance management is a big challenge because one, raising capital, especially with our interest rates or any other factors, the cost of equity is very high, cost of leveraging is very high, and there is no potential exits or easy exits available for shopping mall finance for financing, except maybe trying to sell off a few of the outlets. So, as you know, shopping mall is normally it's better built on a rental model with the long-term return, which comes over a period of time. So, as long as there is no, there is no exit strategy or exits available, it will be a challenge for any developer to be able to finance and to sustain the easy or the difficult times and to manage through that process. So we've tried to do that a bit with the REITs coming in now and providing some of the options, but I think there's still a long way to go there. But finally, I think one of the most important factors is, of course, the developer's learning curve, because it's still something which people are learning on how to operate. There's a lot of copy pasting in the market. There's a lot of developers who are trying to move from building houses to building shopping malls, and you can't really sell off a place and expect it to make it work. It's a very costly affair because it's not only the developer who's losing money, but the retailers who's investing into the stock and the fit outs, when they also lose money in the same process. So I think those two or three factors are actually what's really affecting the ecosystem. It's again not a matter of demand. There is a very big demand, and the ecosystem, I think, as Alex put it, in Pakistan with the weather and the socio-economic and the general safety issues, you prefer to be in an indoor space with all those options. But we have to fix those other factors to improve the overall.
Thank you. Sorry, Alex, you wanted to add something?
Just to build on that, I think one of the opportunities is to go beyond just thinking about the mall. Because I agree, having done some of the visits and seen your mall, wonderful design and layout, and especially in an environment where it's hard to get finance, to think about only developing a mall is where I think the limitation is. So the fact is, start thinking about more than mall. How do I look at a mall that has a residential component? How do I look at a mall that has a commercial for sale component? How do I look at a mall that could have a hotel apartment where I've got some hotel keys, which is recurring revenue, but I have hotel apartments that I can sell to investors? All of a sudden, the mall becomes a little bit easier to finance if I can sell property around it or within it. And I think that's something that if you think about it purely on its own, it could be a challenge. But if you think of it within an environment of a mixed-use development where I have a for sale component and a for lease and recurring revenue component, it may make the economics a little bit easier, and it may make the lenders a little bit kinder to look at financing.
Thank you, Alex, for that. Umer Saab, a question for you now. We have seen that with Carrefour, you started off within the malls, and gradually you all are looking at moving outside the mall. So what is the projection and what's the game plan for Carrefour moving out of the malls?
Okay, my answer to the question first is mall vis-a-vis outside the mall. That's what I'm going to address first. And my answer is specific to Pakistan and specific to food retail. We all these years, we've been in the malls. We've been Dolmen and other malls also. But in retail sector, it is driven by the shopper mission. Shopper wants to do his monthly shopping, food retail, does his grocery, or he does his pantry stocking, a top-up, and a grab and go. These are the four major missions which a shopper has. So what we have realized over the years, in Pakistan, as I said, it will vary from here to UAE or other places. that we miss on if we go into a mall to the other shopper mission, because for a top-up or for a grab and go or for a mission which somebody wants to do a quick one, for example, if we are coming back from the one phone call we get from our when on your way back, please pick up few A, B, C, standard operating procedures for all wives, that please bring all these things while you're back, which go to be 3, 4 items, which is more of a top-up. We just opened a store in Phase 11, Lahore. We call it as the community store. So that community store is about 1,700 to 1,800 square meters, versus whatever we're doing in the malls is doing far better results in terms of food retail, because all these missions are being satisfied, be it the monthly grocery, be it be top-up, grab and go, or you just want to do pick up something very quickly, versus what was happening in mall. One, it has become too expensive to operate. In Pakistan, the palate of a Pakistani consumer is very simple. There's not much of value addition. We don't eat much of cheese. We don't eat much of dairy products. All you're left with, 70–80% of the basket is left with flour, rice, oil, and ghee. And then the margins are low. The operating cost within the mall are much more higher. So therefore, our experience has been slightly better in standalone stores rather than into the mall. That's the first question. Now, what are we doing? We are going to malls as well. But what we are preferring in a Pakistani environment, we are air-conditioned, we provide that atmosphere, but we are shopper mission-specific stores. That's what we're opening. And that is what is doing much better for us, rather than staying in the mall and leave those other shopper mission, which are more in frequency, because your monthly basket is once, whereas your top-up or a pantry stocking is frequent. We want our customers to come more frequently to our stores, buy little more than what they require, and therefore, the more mission to more visits to your store would fetch you more customers, and therefore, better loyalty and better turnover. So that's how
that means that we will see a lot more Carrefour Expresses coming up in neighborhoods. Would that be the general direction?
That's absolutely right. We already have opened 5. We're opening in January 1 more store again. It is partly mall, but there's going to be 1 more, which is going to be outside the mall. Because here you're dependent, in Pakistani environment, you're dependent on the traffic of the mall, in any environment. But then you have a conversion from a mall to you. So at 100 people coming in, on averagely, your conversion takes about 20 to 22%.
Okay.
So you anyway chop there. But if you're standalone, people can easily come and park, quickly get their things and go in. So that's the culture here. So yes, there'll be more stores which will be coming as standalone rather than more in the malls for Carrefour.
Good. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Mehwish, coming to you. Since you guys are now looking into expanding, do you all still consider going into malls with retail spaces, or are you all looking at standalones? And what's the availability like if you're looking for standalones? I know you guys usually go for a larger footprint. So how easy is it to find spaces outside malls?
So Altaf, really for a brand that is spanning nationwide, its footprint nationwide, the answer really, there's no one clear answer for that fits all. If I talk about urban cities, urban presence, our first preference is to look into a mall. Your key urban cities like KLI, they have good malls, and clearly, from our results also, it shows that our sales per square foot for mall-based stores is much richer than standalone stores. And that's simply because, they are footfall drivers. Malls are footfall drivers, but not all. I would agree with Faisal's statement that, if malls are not carefully designed and crafted, and what Alex was also mentioning, if it's not done with the right frame, it's not designed the right way, it does not attract that kind of footfall. So, but yes, so the usual culprits for urban cities would be malls based on the sales per square footage results. I'll get to the size later, but for our any cities other than KLI, I would say standalone does the trick. Because malls are not well established in other cities, and but even if malls are not there, Altaf, the good thing is because brands usually coexist in clusters. So if a customer were to go, for instance, Multan, let's just take the example of Multan. There is a road strip called Gulgasht Multan. All our brands are located there, all fashion retail on one side, all the shoe brands are on the other side. So the customer just simply has to park their car at the beginning of the road and they can just get the shopping experience very close to that of a strip mall on that particular road. So that's another example that the sales per square foot is amazing and that place works.
So basically, when you're looking at tier 2 and tier 3 cities, even if there is a mall, you would prefer to be in a standalone position.
Exactly. It depends on where we are situated.
Okay. Okay.
So also in terms of square footage now, again, my answer may not be the conventional one because I know right now the going tagline is to go big or to go out. But Al-Karam has always operated in a mid-sized tier. Even when I joined the brand about 3 years ago, our stores were very small. Now our stores are not small. We are now in the medium-sized tier. But I still believe that for a brand, one should have clarity in terms of size. What do you want to even do with that bigger size, that bigger square footage? If you have the product breadth to justify such a big square footage, please, by all means. But I do feel that, we as a brand, we have a very strong ethos of maximizing with the space that we get.
True.
So, we're not in the go big league. We're very happy to operate in the mid-sized, mid-tier or the mid-size square footage. And also judging by what's going on in the economy today, I feel that decision has just hit the nail on the head.
I guess, yes, we are going through tough times right now, but this is being part of the retail, setup. Once you commit to a space and then you realize maybe 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line that that particular space is not large enough for you, that is always the flip side of the coin, which one has to sort of, live with. But yes, thank you for your input. Hamood साहब, क्या हाल है आपके?
Alhamdulillah.
Good. मुझे बताएं, so you're looking at now setting up a mall in Faisalabad.
Yes.
And Faisalabad, historically, I believe, has always been, people from Faisalabad would come to Lahore for the weekend to do their shopping and for their entertainment. So what kind of a mall are you looking at, or what sort of environment are you looking at creating over there? And how do you think that's going to drive the business, for not only you, but for all the brands that come into your mall?
Yes, Faisalabad is the third largest city of Pakistan, and that city is known to be the textile city of Pakistan. And the people of Faisalabad used to go to Lahore. It's 10-year backstory. Now, Faisalabad developed a lot, and there is no, as a third largest city, the top two cities of Pakistan have big shopping malls. And the third big city, Faisalabad, don't have such kind of thing. So, to taste the essence of shopping malls for the population of Faisalabad, our chairman's vision to make a complete shopping mall which has a complete complex. It had a shopping mall, a corporate tower, and apartment building and hotel tower. Faisalabad, no international kind of function is being taken place in Faisalabad only because I gave the example of cricket. No international team came to Faisalabad because they don't have a facility to accommodate them for the stay. So we are building a hotel as well. So this mall is around 2.1 million square feet, is the largest in Punjab.
Okay.
So it's
And that
not
would be
targeted.
pure retail, or would that be including the hotel and all of the other amenities that you're adding in?
Our commercial place is 2.1 million square feet. Overall, it's through 3.2 million square feet.
Wow.
So, first 5 floors are for the commercial purpose. Lower ground, first, second, these are for retail. And fourth one is for the food court, and fifth for the complete entertainment. It will be a complete iconic store for the Faisalabadi population, and it will also target for the surrounding small cities. They don't have tasted the environment of shopping malls like the other cities in Lahore and Karachi. So
Very good. We wish you all the best with that. Alex, so coming back to what your point was, so you think in a city like Faisalabad, a hotel and sort of, going with the mall would obviously help the, the operators at least.
I just think, based on what I've heard, and when we talk about limitations for financing, when we hear limitations on what else we can do, the more you create a general asset with multiple uses, then you've got greater flexibility, right? You have the ability to implement, because again, let's go back. You do a development model purely on a mall. That's a recurring revenue lease model only, right? But the other way around, you give yourself a for sale and a lease option, right? Depending on what you like. And I think that just gives greater flexibility and allows for these type of concepts to come together. Let's not forget, some of the earliest, again, I go back to my experience, whether it's in UAE or even in Saudi Arabia today, some of the malls that are now the most famous, they were mixed use, right? They were car showrooms. Okay, let's go back, and I mean, you talk about Carrefour, and before Carrefour, we had the French brand that came in back in the Continent, yeah, back in the 90s, right? There was Continent, there was the Toyota showroom inside the mall, right? There was a hotel, and there were offices, right? At a time when you're building a portfolio of a new experience in a mall, try to reduce your risk, right? So people came to see an IKEA and what have you. So there's always those type of options that the more you provide flexibility, alternative use, different operating models, different revenue models, you give yourself a greater chance.
Thank you. We've run out of time. Otherwise, I would have opened the floor to questions. I'd like to thank everybody for taking out their time and sort of coming over here. Thank you very much for your patience and thank you.